Thank you for giving us this chance to talk to you today about some of your projects in Minnesota and among the Somali community. Can you tell us more about what you've done and what you're doing for the community and for yourself as well?
Right. My name is Mohamud Amin. I'm a photographer. Currently on display, as you can see, is the project entitled The Youth Nalanyaraga, a portrait of young Somali men. It's about 13 young Somali men who are positive and actively engaged in their community, and also they tell us about how they feel while staying engaged in the community. It's hard to be young American Muslim today in this environment, and that's what I'm trying to highlight.
So what is the point of making this photographic storytelling?
For me, it's about, first of all, giving you a portrait of what a young Somali man looks like. Sometimes, obviously, if you want how a young Somali man look like, you would want to get all of them, but at least I would say these 13 young men is somewhat representative of what the young Somali men are doing in Minnesota. And also, in this project, they share with us the conflict they felt in trying to be at home while they engage in their community. So through photography and also a short film that I created called Conversations, which brings the portrait to life, telling in their own words how they feel, how they engage in their community, what they do for themselves first and foremost, and how they want to do something positive to the greater community, either here in Minnesota or the whole United States, and most importantly also care about what Somalia is.
So Mr. Mohamud, is this about changing perceptions for Somali youth in America?
Well, absolutely. One of the things that have been out there is the dominant narrative, which is young Somali men being the center of attention with the news and whatnot. For me, it was just kind of how do you counter that negative stereotype of what young Somalis are involved in trying to put positive light to some of the things that they do. And I think a lot of people would understand that it's not all about that, and we are all about positive change.
What motivated you to do this project?
Over 2 years ago, when a lot of young men were in the center of the media storm, of all about the negative stuff happening, especially back in Somalia, back after, even way before, after 9/11. And for me, it was just mostly, how do I put, if you Google young Somali man, and you click on images, what comes up is definitely not the images that you see here today. For me, it was just how do you change that? How do you put, how do you highlight? They say one apple spoils the whole bag, so to speak. And for me, just being, turning the tide on all those stereotypes and negativity, if I could just do one, maybe two, maybe three, I would at least certainly contribute in my own way to making this community a better community.
What has been your artistic inspiration? Where did that come from?
For me, also, photography is a powerful medium, and as you know, the media is the most powerful tool, the most powerful weapon today that we have to mankind that is in existence, more powerful than guns, more powerful than any bombs or anything, and used it positively, it'd be a source of inspiration and a source of change for a lot of things that we need to make right. And for the love of photography, I always loved photography since I was a little kid, and for me it was just how could I use that to inspire, to contribute to the discussion, initiate talk, intercultural, and also how do I use to bridge boundaries and cultures. Images could do that. You don't need to speak Somali, you don't need to speak English to be looking at this and to understand what this is all about.
What pushes you every day to do this amazing work?
that there's a lot to be done. We need to tell our own stories. You know, we need to tell it, not just tell it, but we need to tell it right. That's what motivates me, what keeps me going. And a lot of times you have people come in, tell stories, while other people can share your stories and can empathize with what you're going. You can never fill somebody else's shoes unless you are the owner of those shoes. For me, it's just about telling the stories. All of these young men, I'm not on assignment. It's not a deadline that I have to be. I am in the same community, live in the same areas, share the same conflict, share everything that they share, they go through every day. I'm not going anywhere. I'm part of this community, and for that, I think I'm in a better position to say a thing or two.
What's so special about this 13 young men?
Well, first of all, the young men that are doing positive things is not limited to all the ones that you see here. There are many, many more young men who are actively and positively engaged in their community. But as you know, logistically and also, it's a long, hard journey. It's something that requires a lot of patience, a lot of time, money, dedication. And if I could just put a spotlight to one of them, for instance, you can pick Abdullah Bashir, who I shot at the beginning. He's a teacher, he's a mentor, he's an educator, he's been in the community, when he came here, he was a young man, and look at him now, he's doing a lot of positive things. You can pick Abdi Phenomenal, who's also Abdi Fatah, also known as Abdi Phenomenal, who's a poet, who's done documentary, went back to Somalia to do positive things. You can talk about Mohamud Amin, who just, one of the questions that I asked him is, are you going back to Somalia? And if you do, what would you do? And he's actually going back to Somalia to do something positive.
Mr. Mohamud, I want to ask you again, you know, in America, especially in Minnesota, there is this great questions people ask, how did Somalis come here, or, you know, by what means, or, you know, why Minnesota? There's a lot of questions that people get around. And do you think your artistic expression in the photography that you've done answers that questions?
Well, certainly. One of the questions that we asked, and we asked in many questions in the conversation piece, is to provide a little bit of background how they came here, but more importantly, why Minnesota? That's one of the questions we asked. And most of them, it was just relatives. There were opportunities here. There were a lot of things good about this area. And for me, I wish we could have ended up in a place where it's warm, close in climate to Somalia. But for whatever reason, which is now looks like it has worked to our advantage, because Minnesota has been a good host to the Somali community, and now it's home to Somalis now. It worked out, and for most of them, it was just a matter of family coming here before them, and just, as you know, we nomadic by nature, so we always tend to go where things are better.
Excellent. Last question I'd like to ask you, Mr. Mohamud, is that who do you want your work and the 13 boys shown here through your artistic expression to inspire? Who is your target?
These 13 young men, you know, a lot of people look up to them. I want him to be anybody that calls here home, Minnesota. It's not just limited to Somalis alone. The stories that they share, it could be Swedish American who came here about 100 years ago or so, or even longer, that went through the same thing that they are going, we are going as a Somali community. So I think there's a similarity that we all share, that we call this great nation home, that we all came here at one point in time, that I want people to look at that and see themselves, or maybe see their grandparents or forefathers, what they went through, and it's happening now. For me, it just makes it worthwhile for anybody to see this and be inspired.
Last question. What do you think is the Somali story?
I think that story is being written as we speak But I think hopefully, if you ask me what I hope that story will be, is a story of hope, story of positive, a story of change, that we can say what happens in Somalia was initiated and put together from this state here in Minnesota, in America, that a lot of good things went back, even though we came here, that a lot of good things happened due to the Somali Americans here in Minnesota. And I think that will be one of the highlights that I look forward to. And I hopefully would stay in touch with these young men to see 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what they're up to. And maybe that is a story that I get to present again.
That is a beautiful ending that a lot of people always hope for. And I hope it ends as you say. I would like to thank you for your time today and giving us this interview. Is there anything else you would like to add?
It was a pleasure for having me and being able to tell. If I can say one thing, you know, maybe try to maybe care a little bit more about what your next neighbor or friend or somebody that you see, you know, not all of us might be able to inspire maybe one of these guys or maybe some of the guys who are not on here. Maybe care a little bit more, let's care a little bit more about each other and about each other's shared history and stories.
Thank you very much, Mohamud.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.